Well, hello, my friends. It's your boy Jordan, and we're going to go ahead and talk about a game I've been very addicted to in the last little spell. It's been about 2 weeks, and I got thoroughly addicted to Dark Souls 2. And a lot of it came from people wanting me to play it on live stream, so I decided to, and I really gave it a gun host chance to try it, and I love this game a lot. It is frustrating at times, and it will make you cut the game off. But for the most part, it has a very rewarding combat system, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the difficulty. I've heard from everybody under the sun that this game is one of the hardest games that you actually can play. And if you want to take it in the sense of games that will actually kill you, yes, it is. But I don't consider dying in Dark Souls 2 as much as failing as giving up. Because you're expected to die in Dark Souls 2. They do everything in their power to make you die in Dark Souls 2. There's this one part in the game where you open a door to nowhere, and if you run through it without looking, you fall to your death. Luckily, it didn't get me, but there was enough bloodstains around to see that it got everybody else that really opened that door. There's multiple occasions, like for example, after you leave a fog area, that you go right to a sheer cliff. The game is just designed around trying to kill you in the most frustrating, cheap ways. A lot of the bosses do stuff like this. You have a very tough boss in his own right, and then all of a sudden he gives a little mimic guy into the fight with you. Now it's a 2v1, so now you have to deal with the mimic guy and go back to the boss. Well, obviously this is one of the later bosses in the game. This is the Looking Glass Knight. But, you know, stuff like this is what makes the game really, really rough on yourself. And like, man, don't even get me started on the dragons. The dragons whoop my cherry ass, dude. But for the most part, the game is fun, and what makes the game fun is a very rewarding combat system. And the difficulty, in my opinion, is inflated for what people say. If you hear people talk that this is one of the hardest games that you'll ever play, no, it's actually not. I wouldn't even consider Dark Souls the hardest game I've ever played. I still would say the hardest game to play would be Resident Evil Revelations on Inferno difficulty right out the box. That is super hard. Diablo 2 Diablo 2 in Hell difficulty in Act 5. Without the proper gear, that is freaking hard. Even with the proper gear, that's freaking hard. Go and fuck around with some glooms for a while, and then come back and tell me that Dark Souls 2 is hard. But it's by no means easy. I'm going to put it that way. The game is very punishing, and it will punish you over and over and over again until you either learn the pattern. Because Dark Souls is a game of pattern recognition. And if you're like me or anybody else, I find that when I play this game, I prefer to play this game as a melee type character. I feel like you don't get the same experience or example when you play a mage character. Because I played a mage character on my stream first when I first got Dark Souls 2, and it wasn't the same feeling. You don't get the same feeling of satisfaction casting soul arrows at bosses as you do fighting bosses straight out with like your claymore, or in this case the Mastodon Greatsword. It's just a much more satisfying feeling to do what I like to call the dance of death with the boss and beat him in one-on-one singles combat than it is to go summon 2 or 3 people in and just kill them with soul arrows, because that's what the mage generally does. You find somebody that's willing to tank whip for you, and you just lambaster the boss with soul arrows. Don't get me wrong, I really like the bandit type characters though. Like, I think my next character I'll play will be a bandit that has the bow, because later on in the game you have to rely on the crossbow a lot. And I mean a lot. Like when you get to like the Shrine of Ramada or like the Undead Crypt, the crossbow or the bow in general becomes your best friend, and if you don't have it, the game becomes increasingly difficult. And I like that aspect of the game as well. I love the aspect that you have to think outside the box to do it well, and that's one of the things that kind of pulls me toward the game, is because it's so much like a puzzle that you have to do well in. Like for example, you see me using a lot of these healing gems. If you played this game without thinking, or played this game as like you would any other on rails RPG, something like the Kingdom of Alamar comes to mind. If you played this game in that fashion, you will instantly be when you never really figure out that if you take Melintia to the town, she sells unlimited healing gems, and then you wouldn't have no other backup healing to rely on. That's just one example of how I figured this game is. It rewards you for actually taking time to look into the game. And I love that. When a game rewards you for exploring its features and exploring the dialogue and things of that nature, it makes me feel better. And let's do a little quick talk right before we end this video on my actual presentation, my actual thought on boss fights. You see I've been fighting the Looking Glass Knight this entire time, and you see I've been doing it very slowly. I'm sure somebody's out there, go out there and crush him with your sword. Well, that's where I find that this game really, 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 really works well with your patience. If you have a good level of patience, or me, Captain Camper, I have some patience. I think I get crushed here, yeah. The game will really reward you in a sense that it. Well, here's the thing. I found I die more when I went balls to the wall on a boss than I did when I wasn't greedy. This game punishes you so much for being greedy, it's ridiculous. Like, if you want that extra hit, it might cost you your life. And it goes by the sniper mantra of, slow is steady, steady is fast. And that's the way you pretty much have to play almost every boss in this game. Take what damage he'll give you, but don't take too much. Just remember to play the dance. Just do the dance of death with him. When he opens himself for damage, like right there, hit him one time. I was able to get back to the shield, get around him, learn his attacks. The game's all about attack recognition. Learn when you can actually damage the boss, and don't feel like you have to kill the boss in 2 minutes. Like, it literally took me upwards to 7 minutes to beat this boss, which could seem like a hassle if you have to do it 2 or 3 times, because it is a hassle. And I find that most of my deaths, if not 90% of them, come from me dying one time legitimately and then me wanting to get back through an area fast and dying again because of that. But all in all, if you haven't tried the Dark Souls series out, it's got a steep learning curve, but it's a very rewarding learning curve, and you will love the game to death. And this has been your boy Wings of Redemption. I hope you guys like it. Hope you guys come check out my live streams. If you haven't followed me yet on Twitch, check out the description below. Thank you guys.
Hey guys, it's your boy Jordan, and I wanted to sit here and talk about something just happened recently. A movie star named Robin Williams was found hanging in his California home. I think it's California. I gotta say, I'm not the biggest Robin Williams fan, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I looked at most of his movies in awe and things. Like, I found most of his movies kind of forced. Like, I think the last Robin Williams movie I watched was, God, I don't even remember the name of the movie, but basically he bought a big old tour bus type thing, and then he went on a road trip with his family, and bus kept messing up and things. But regardless, I liked him as an actor. I didn't like him as a comedian. I felt that most of his movies as a comedian were very forced, but most of his roles where he was serious were some of the best work I've ever seen acting wise. Like, my favorite Robin Williams movie was most likely going to be Good Will Hunting, where he played as counselor. He felt so much like a human in that movie that it touched me as a person, and he felt like a person I'd like to talk to. Basically, I like the bearded Robin Williams movies. Anytime Robin Williams had a beard, he usually had a pretty good serious role. Another one of my favorite movies was Jumanji. Jumanji was a really good movie that Robin Williams was in. And most of the people about Facebook has been pouring in. My own personal Facebook, about every other post is something to do with Robin Williams or something about his life. It's obviously made a huge effect in the community. And a lot of it is because signs of depression has been brought to light. Robin ended up killing himself because of depression, and he used things his whole career to kind of he's always been a depressed person. You could tell it. I mean, I'm just going through hindsight here. I don't know the guy personally, but even like I was just the other day I was driving my truck, and I popped it on Opie and Anthony channel, which is not Opie and Anthony anymore, but they were doing a Robin Williams stand-up special instead of the actual Opie and Anthony programming. And I was listening to it, and he was doing a bit about alcoholism. And most of you that probably hadn't followed Robin most of his career, which I don't follow, but I know this personally. He's always been in and out of alcoholism. He was an alcoholic at a young age. He had an alcoholic father. He just recently was in rehab for alcoholism, and it's an epidemic about the society we live in. There's a stigma that follows me even to this day about faking a suicide, because I said something about it on Twitter, and realistically I thought about it multiple times in the last couple years, mainly because you're not trying to run from things, you're just tired of pain. And pain is relative. Pain is not something that you can put on a scale. A pain for a rich person might be eating hamburger instead of steak. A pain for a rich person might be having to drive a certain type of car. It's relative to your situation. And just like bankers, you see you guys on Wall Street that will jump out of windows and kill themselves when they lose all their money and they got to start back at the bottom. Well, the bottom is actually better than most people have in like Africa that don't even have clean drinking water. But pain is relative. To him, life isn't worth living anymore, whereas somebody else, the situation will be greater. A lot of people are probably looking at Robin Williams' life and thinking, man, he had money, he had a house, he had a family, he had a beautiful daughter. He had the life. He had everything that everybody ever strives for. And I can kind of relate to him in this aspect. I started out growing up poor, then we moved up into middle class, and then YouTube blew up for a while, and I would consider myself upper middle class, and now I'm going back down to middle class, or maybe going back down to poor, who knows. But just the transition alone for me was emotionally a thing that was very hard to deal with, to see everything that you built crumble around you, to see people revolting against you, to see threads of people that hated you. And I feel like Robin Williams went down the same pathway. I mean, like, I don't even remember the name of that movie I watched. It's like Tour Bus or something. I don't know. I don't remember it, because to me it wasn't that good of a movie. When I seen a Robin Williams movie that was a comedy, I automatically labeled that movie as bad. And I could see in his side, or in his way, that he probably seen that and just concentrated just like that. Like, take me for example. I've lost a lot of weight. I have. I've lost lots of weight. I mean, most people, when they set out to lose weight, they're setting out to lose 10 to 15 pounds. I've lost over 50. And I'm not even started yet. I've lost over 50 and you can barely tell a difference in me. I have to lose 150 pounds. The scope of what I'm trying to do is humongous. And I try not to think about it. I try to break it down 5 or 10 pounds at a time. And I have lots of support. I have thousands upon thousands of people that support me. It's mind-blowing how many people that support me. If you put everybody, even now, in the same room that watch my videos, it would fill a school. Fill a school auditorium. But you don't see that, because you think, man, that's 9,000 people. And then you correlate 9,000 people with what other people are doing, which are in the millions, and it's like, oh man, I'm small beans, and washed up. And to me, it's unfair criticism for myself, and it's a unbalanced point of view. But you have it, and I'm sure alcoholism plus the failure of work-related items. I'm not going to say Robin Williams was a failure, but he's by no means made any blockbuster movies recently. He's never made a movie like, wow. And I feel like a lot of that is because he kept going back to comedy. I see another guy going down the same route, and it's Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey keeps coming back to try to make these comedy movies, and he had some good ones. I mean, like, some of my favorite comedy movies ever is like Dumb and Dumber and Liar Liar. Those are great movies, but I think Jim Carrey has moved on as an actor from comedy, and you get to the point where it's time to move on. Like, one of the actors that did it best was like Marky Mark. Mark Wahlberg had a rap career. He had a successful rap career for a while with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, but after that faded out, he moved on. After he moved on. Well, matter of fact, he was an underwear model before his rap career, I think. It might have been before or after, but one of the two. And then he became an actor. He kind of moved on with the times. And a lot of people are stuck, and like I'm stuck. I was stuck in the Call of Duty rut forever. Like I didn't know what to do with my channel. I wasn't happy with myself. I didn't feel like my life was worth living. I didn't have anybody interested in me. I mean, I'd wake up. I mean, I'm like, why do I even have a fucking phone? I don't even use it. I use it to look at Facebook. I can go get a tablet and don't have to pay a phone bill. And you think about these things, and it depresses you, and it makes you want to cry yourself to sleep at night. And you do think about things like suicide because it's like, fuck it, why do I need to be living? And nobody cares about me. But the end result is somebody could care about you. And that's why I've never done it. I don't know, dude. I'm just saying, the light at the end of the tunnel could be you for somebody. Don't give up hope.